The US Department of Justice and 16 states are suing Apple over alleged monopolistic smartphone practices. This is a simply enormous deal. Let's talk about it. Now, there has been a push around the world to regulate technology companies more closely. You've seen this in headlines about regulatory news from the EU regarding platforms and competition, and social media and AI over in India. The US also has a full plate, for example, bringing suits against Google for alleged anti-competitive activities in the search and advertising markets, to pick an example. And now we have this new Apple suit to digest. So what does the government allege? Well, the DOJ says that, and I quote, Apple reduces competition in the markets for performance smartphones and smartphones generally by, again quoting, delaying, degrading, or outright blocking technologies that would increase competition in the smartphone markets by decreasing barriers to switching to another smartphone, among other things. Basically, the way things are today, when you switch, you have to replace a lot of your existing apps, move data over to a new platform, and so on. Amongst the DOJ's arguments is that Apple is purposely making switching more difficult than it has to be. And Apple, this is going to absolutely shock you, doesn't agree. In a statement provided to TechCrunch, the company said that it builds, quote, products that work seamlessly together, protect people's privacy and security, and create a magical experience for its users, end quote. And that the new suit, it says, will, quote, threaten who we are and the principles that set Apple's products apart in fiercely competitive markets. That last bit could be a sticking point for the suit. As TechCrunch's Matt Rosoff wrote, there is precedent for the type of suit that the DOJ is bringing against Apple, namely the now historical Microsoft suit against that company's business practices regarding Windows and its then dominant web browser. How long ago was that suit? Well, Microsoft had the then dominant web browser. However, there's a wrinkle that we really need to talk about. Microsoft had more market share at the time in PCs than Apple has in smartphones today. At one point, back in 2000, a report from Goldman Sachs said that Microsoft's OS was on about 97% of all computing devices. The iPhone, in contrast, only has about 60% market share in the US and a lot less worldwide. Some well-known tech voices have been critical of the suit, including former Microsoft exec Steven Sinofsky, who today works as a board partner over at Andreessen Horowitz. He called the suit the worst antitrust case ever brought, and that's a quote. Apple has been in the hot seat regarding its App Store policies with both developers and regulators lately, so opinion inside of the tech industry won't be entirely uniform, but it does seem that the DOJ will have an uphill battle for its case given how it is framed. Now, apart from the massive news of the suit itself, it's worth keeping in mind that big tech, as it's often called, has detractors today from across the political spectrum, meaning that it should not be a huge surprise that the DOJ's investigation into Apple began back in 2019, and there was a very different administration in the White House at that time. This one is going to take a long time to work its way through the system. Do not expect a quick resolution. All the same, the bigger a company or industry gets, the more scrutiny it comes under. And there are no more valuable companies in the world today, period, than American tech giants. So this is not the last time that you and I are going to see the government cry foul.